Number 3 at the corner.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. 2 hitches, 3 sit on.
Nope.
They tracking. Oh, they dragging.
Crossfield. Hey! Hey! I see you, Six!
When Kevin was born, he was kind of healthy. I mean, he's fat. He was really, really big. And I think that was due to the fact that I ate a lot of fruit when I was pregnant with Kevin. So when Kevin was born, I used to call him my football baby because he had the build and the stature of a football player. And so Kevin got along really well with his siblings. Kevin always had an ability to be a people person. Growing up, we decided to put the boys in sports to keep them focused on things outside of, especially with what was going on in the world with crime and everything, gangsters, that type of stuff. So we decided to put the boys in sports, and Kevin tended to excel in football. He played basketball and baseball, but his best sport at that time was football. Kevin had a talent for football specifically. I'll never forget, Kevin was 6. And the boys in the neighborhood, they were like 12 and 13. And they would come and ask Kevin to play football with them. And I'm thinking, Kevin, he's so little to be playing football, but Kevin had the ability to play football with boys that were 12 and 13. At that time, he might have been 6 or 7. And then it went on in regards to, we put him in Mile High Little League, and he just excelled. He really did excel playing Little League baseball. And then he got better when he was like 10. No, actually, Kevin was 8, almost 9. And he got to play with the 10-year-old All-Stars. That's how good he was. And so Kevin was competitive, but never mean or rude about it. Very nice young man.
I became interested in sports because my older brother Eric played sports and my older brother Darren played sports. Darren really played more basketball and Eric played baseball. What I found attractive in terms of the sports was just having fun to play the sport. The sport that I really endured and loved was football more because it was the first sport that I actually wanted to go play for myself rather than my brothers playing it, and they didn't play it. So it was something that I found to be, I guess, like a place away from home. You know what I mean? Like your second home in terms of just having fun, being able to show your aggression on the field, but not make it to a point where you can get in trouble for it. In terms of the physicality of the sport. But yeah, I played baseball, football, basketball growing up, but my favorite sport by far was football. First career in terms of sports, around the age of 5 is when I first started playing baseball, because baseball came right before football did. And so at the age of 5, I was playing baseball all the way into the age of 8, and that's when I started playing football. And just going through the experience of that was just definitely fun, because it was definitely learning about other people on a team, being on a team with other kids that you might have not known, or kids that you didn't go to school with particularly, because it could be kids that go to different schools for sure. So it was kind of cool to see that these kids were definitely in the same city, but going to a different school, but still coming to the same organization to play a sport, whether it be football or baseball. For high school, I won a couple of different awards, especially when I was even younger. I did win a couple of awards too, but they weren't as like MVPs, they're more just like everyone gets a trophy award. High school, it started becoming more individualized awards, whether it be like in baseball, I won offensive player or defensive player or something like that, from having a good at-bats or a good defensive play, whatever it might be. In football, I found myself running across a couple of MVP awards and stuff like that. Like I said, football's always been my passion, so it's been one sport that I've always been driven into to get better, because I always want to have a dream to go play at the next level or so. So I think I took more pride into that sport, even though I treated both sports a little bit the same, just more in terms of football.
Being teammates, sharing the field, I would say, I mean, we both, like I said, we're very similar, so, I mean, sometimes we butted heads, like, it was nothing, like, ever that would get us, like, that would hurt the team, because, like, you know, we keep it real with each other, because, you know, that's what you want from your teammate, and some people who want to see you succeed and be the best are going to tell you how it is sometimes. They're not going to tell you what you want to hear all the time, they're going to tell you what you need to hear. So, and we brought the best out of each other. Like, he was always there, like as a big bro on the field, because obviously I was a year younger, and he had more experience, so coached me through things, but always made sure that, you know, it was all out of love and never malicious, but just trying to do what's best for the team. On the field, he was a dog, man. Like, not the biggest dude in the field, but just a straight gamer. Like, high football IQ, very intense, you know, just very in tune with the game, man. Like, always talking, having fun, though. It was always fun, you know. But like I said, straight dog, physical, smart, just good football player, man, through and through.
My transition from high school to college was a little different than the normal kid, just because I did go to a military school. It was definitely different to getting used to and then getting acclimated to, because I've never been a part of the military. My grandpa was in the military, but I never really discussed a lot of things with him or anything like that. Both my parents worked 9 to 5 jobs out here, so military was never in the case to be. So for me, I got one scholarship to go play football, and I took it. Even though it was a military school, I wanted to go play as much as I did, so I knew I had to maybe sacrifice a little bit of freedom to go actually get the scholarship. So doing that, like I said, transitioning from high school to college was definitely not as big in terms of school, because it was still school. I think school is school, you gotta apply yourself, definitely. I think the transition was going from being an everyday kid to being a kid that's now in the military life, to where you not have rules, restrictions, maybe not your parents there, but someone almost in that parent authority figure to tell you that you're not doing something right, or cleaning your room or making sure you're marching in formation or shaving or anything in that nature. So like I said, it was a hard transition for me, but after the first semester or so, it just kind of calmed down for the most part. Okay, so how I ended up at Eastern New Mexico, I went to New Mexico Military first, which is only a junior college, so it's only a 2-year school, meaning you're a freshman, sophomore, and then you gotta graduate and then go to your next school, being a 4-year school, whether it be D1, D2, D3, or any of that nature. So my goal of going to NIMI was hopefully to try to get another scholarship to go to another school. Now the goal at the time was probably UNM or State, just because it was D1 or so. But they didn't come around. They did come around and talk to us, but it was more in the same principle as most kids probably hear, that they want you to walk on, which is understandable because they can put some scholarships together or keep your lottery intact so you don't have to actually get like a huge scholarship, and they can put everything together that way, which is a business tactic in that atmosphere. But for me, I wanted to go to school and didn't really want to pay for it. So I had an offer to go to Eastern New Mexico. I had an offer to go to Fort Lewis, which is in Colorado, and then one more to go to Western Colorado. Now at the time, my head coach with Coach Lynn was the year before at NIMI. He actually went to Eastern, and I had maybe a handful of 5 or 6 teammates that went the year before I went, and then the year that I went, maybe another 4 or 5 of us went as well. So to me, I think the chemistry was the best in terms of all the schools that I was gonna go to. I didn't really wanna build chemistry with a whole lot of people rather than have that same chemistry, which is kind of hard to come across, especially only 1 year into something like that. So that's the reason why I went there, and they also gave me a scholarship, which was, in my case, free, so I didn't have to pay for school, which made things a whole lot easier for me, especially being an athlete that is in college and then just going to school full time.
One of my favorite things about Kevin was Kevin might have been like maybe about 8, 9. And you know, it was a Yaffle football game. And one of the things is, you know, we as parents get a little rowdy. I don't know why we say things like hit him or take him out. You know, we're so negative as parents. But anyway, in this particular game, a child on the other team got hurt. And I'm not sure if it was Kevin that hit him, you know, because Kevin played offense and defense, and he was pretty tough. But my memory is the child got hurt, and I remember Kevin going over to his teammates, and I remember Kevin taking a knee, and I remember Kevin praying for that child. Those are the things that I remember most about Kevin, is when Kevin would play ball, I mean, that's what Kevin was there to play ball. But when Kevin left the field, everything stayed on the field. His anger, if he was mad that somebody missed a block or, you know, frustrated with a teammate, Kevin had the ability to leave things on the field. And the fact that he was willing or wanting to pray for some child he didn't know was a good memory for me. His compassion for someone else.
Going into that with value, I think that that's a characteristic trait that Kevin is going to bring to his brand and to other people, is to teach people that apart from your athleticism, your know-how, like you are somebody. You know, you're somebody first. And I think that that is a characteristic trait that other people will get to see.
So the name of my business is called Prove It Inc. It was a brand that I built in maybe 2016 or so, and it was kind of on and off for a few years just because I was back and forth between school, getting my master's, coaching at the time, playing at the time. So my thing was just to give back to the kids as much as I could. So I started doing that. I started coaching a few kids that went to Mazzano, played with my brother, and then from there it just kind of grew. Each semester, each year I come back, I'd probably gain a couple more athletes or so. And the biggest thing for me is my brand teaches athletes how to be more functional in their movement, so they're not doing things that are restricting them from play when they do get out there. And it's not, I mean, it should be second nature when you get out there. It shouldn't be something that's new to you, just because most times when kids are just doing things or running out there and trying to perform things that they might have seen someone do on YouTube, their body might not necessarily be ready for it. So I think that's what in turn gives kids a lot of injuries. So for me, my thing is to teach kids how to be more injury-free, but also to teach them a college atmosphere of how it should be when you do get in college. But also give them that recruiting advice of like what you need to do, SATs, grades. You gotta make sure you have tape, film, this, that, whatever else it might be. And then my thing is to help kids, promote kids as much as possible. As much as they come to me, my thing is to promote their name like they're the best thing out here. So my thing is for kids to continue to work for themselves, but they gotta find it for themselves. You know what I mean? It's hard to instill something in kids that they don't wanna take it on or listen to the advice or stuff like that. So it's just continue to do it without them knowing it's there, you know?
Him training me, just in terms of just as an athlete, it's helped me grow a lot as a football player, just because we're doing a lot of specific like stuff as DBs that you might see on the football field. Like, for example, guarding the receiver, he gives you a slant and go. We're doing drills that's really applying, that's gonna really, like I said, apply it to the game when I see it on the field. And not knocking any other trainers, but sometimes you see trainers do just crazy unorthodox footwork stuff that you're like, okay, like maybe they have nice feet, they're working on nice feet, but how does that translate to the field? So we're doing a lot of specific stuff, a lot of real technique, what's the word I'm looking for? Detail stuff, right? Detail, like foot placement, not taking steps in the same spot. We're trying to, every step and every movement is with a purpose.
You never know what might happen, what might come to foresee your future in terms of what you're doing. You just gotta put trust into, you know what I mean, God, that everything's gonna work out, and just put faith in yourself that you can do it too. But to get back to passion, it's a blessing. Priceless, bro. It's really priceless.